first I had to let it wrap around my head. It said, you wrote a book, because it's like, oh, it's hot off the presses. I want to put, you just wrote a book. Let that marinate. I'll say, not procrastinate. It's a difference between marinating and procrastinating. Marinating means 1 or 2 days. Let it get cold, go back, look at it.
Thought Fortunes Podcast, number 17. Getting to Life Purpose and Pinkadayious Living with Tamiko Hobbs. Welcome to another episode of the Thought Fortunes Podcast. I am your host, D. Orlando Fortune. This is a show about business and authors. With the growing demand for information, entrepreneurs must learn how to turn their ideas into words on a page that bring in cash and share a unique message. This podcast brings you the strategies, tips, and bars to do just that and do it well using a book. Today's show is sponsored by Thought Fortunes Press. You probably know that if you're not an authority in your industry, nobody's hearing your message. And you may know that the number one way to build your authority is by authoring a book. What you probably don't know is that you can write the manuscript for your first book in less than 4 hours. I'm D. Orlando Fortune from Thought Fortune Press, where we turn your ideas into a branded book that brings in the cash by sharing your unique message and positioning you as an authority in your industry. If you're an entrepreneur or a speaker who's thinking about already writing or want to publish your next book, but you don't want to write it or you just want help getting it done, your first step is a Wealthy Author Roadmap, which is a 2.5-hour call where we design your book's content, create a publishing timeline that fits your goals, and come up with 3 ways to turn your book into back-end products. What makes us different is that we know a book is only the first step into your world. So we work with you on creating a signature suite of products, all from your book's one outline. We do that using our proprietary systems. To get started on your personalized Wealthy Author Roadmap, go to thoughtfortunepress.com and click the gold Start Here button at the top of the page. Remember, you're only one book away. Let us at Thought Fortune Press guide you to becoming an author. Go to thoughtfortunepress.com today. So today's conversation with Tamiko Hobbs. She is a life coach, phenomenal woman. You're going to hear about her 3 Ps and more importantly about how she has turned her book into multiple different revenue streams. And how you guys got to hear some of the stories that she's going to share with you about how she's helping change people's lives by being a great listener and then also looking for that thing that's going to help switch somebody's life on. Now, I know as I'm saying that, I'm thinking about Jim Rohn talks about how people are waiting for someone to just turn their switch on. And he jokingly says, what if they never show up? Well, that is absolutely true. But if you are hearing this today and you're looking for someone to help you turn that switch on in your life, Tamiko Hobbs may be the person for you to reach out to. At the end of the podcast, you're going to hear a phone number you can use to get a 30-minute free call with Tamiko. So stay tuned for that towards the end of the conversation. But as you go through this, on the way to hearing that free conversation, getting that free conversation with her, you may want to hear some of these things and pay attention to some of the things we're going to point out here. One thing she talks about is that when you wake up every morning with joy in your heart, doing the thing you do, you're on the right path. And what that actually looks like. She gives a great story about what that would actually look like and how it started happening for her in her life. And hopefully from that, it inspires you to start looking for that in your life. Also listen for how Tamiko turns her book into a coaching tool. how she's tweaked it and revised it into not just the first book, which did very well in sales for her, but also now has revised it so that she can use it as a coaching tool for her, and you can listen to how she's using that in her business. Final thing here, among other things to listen for, is there's something you heard in the opening clip there. We're talking about marinating versus procrastinating. I think it's a great thought here. As you get towards the end of the podcast, we're going to hear this, how Tamiko starts using this idea she learned from her teacher. And she's going to explain to you why you should never submit your work while it's hot. It's a great tip on when you should to publish your book. Because sometimes we get caught in our thoughts and analyzing our words, and we never really want to hit that publish button. So you want to listen to the advice that she received from her professor and how she uses it in her books, and how you can use it for yourself as you get ready to publish your first or your next book. Yo, enough with me. Go ahead and get started with today's conversation. Talk to you soon. All right, welcome y'all to another episode of the Thought Fortunes podcast, man. I'm so excited for these authors that I continue to bring to you and continue to pour into your life and into your business about what it takes to be successful at using a book to grow your business and expand your platform, get on more speaking engagements. Man, I'm so excited today for today's author, Ms. Tamiko. Tamiko Hobbs is the founder and CEO of Together Striving for Hope LLC. She has worked in the social services field for the past 12 years. She knows the challenges that families and individuals face when making life changes, whether it is in the personal development, the spirituality, or the career choice. She provides not only the tools to help them move forward, but she helps them to discover their true, authentic self by helping them unlock their 3 Ps. Catch this, y'all. Catch the names, the 3 Ps: Purpose, Pinkadayious, and Phenomenal. Once these elements are discovered, that individual can become the person that they were always meant to be. And who doesn't want to be the person they were meant to be? Welcome, Miss Tamiko Hobbs, to the show. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you, Mr. Fortune, for having me on your broadcast today. I'm looking forward to this interview today. How are you doing?
Man, I am geeked up right now. I'm about halfway through my pitcher of coffee, and I am good to go, man. I'm so excited here for what we're about to learn because I remember we had a good conversation about Pinkadayious, about in February of this year, I think it was, we first met.
Yes.
We were talking about Pinkadayious, and I was like, what is this? Like, anybody that I like people to make up their own names, their own words. I am me is what it says, and I'm proud to be me. So we're going to talk about what this means. But first, let's get started. And I haven't said it. If I haven't said it already, thank you for saying yes. Absolutely being on here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, let's get started. First off, tell me, what are you reading now?
What am I reading now?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I am reading a book by, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a how-to book.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I have that book, and I think I gave that book to somebody because I was reading because it was a very interesting book. It was called The Successful Edge. It's by, I got it at a function, and it really talks about the edge of the dynamics and the obstacles that we have to come when we're faced with those edges, to try to get to success. So it's an interesting book. It was interesting, but I think I let somebody borrow that book, so I didn't really get into a whole lot of it because somebody I want to read it. So I'm like this. When I get a book and start reading it, if somebody sees that book and say, I want it, I'm like, okay, it was not meant for me to have. It's meant for me to, pay it forward.
Sounds like we gotta start learning some speed reading so you can get through it in a day.
I know. But I know. Tell me about it. Because it's like that every time I get a book, Mr. Fortune, every time I get a book that I enjoy and I get into it, it seemed like God always tell me, that person needs that book. I'm like, well, I'm not finished with the book. So I always buy it, kind of get what I need out of it, and then it just moves forward.
Excellent,
So
excellent.
I pay it forward to the next person. I always say, when you're done, keep it moving, keep it moving.
Excellent. Definitely have that in the show notes. Definitely have it in the show notes. So as we move forward, let's talk about some business. Let's start getting into some books and a business and talk about what we've learned, some lessons, and help the TFP family to grow their businesses. So tell us about your business, and most importantly about this question, why you do what you do.
Well, about my business, Together Striving for Hope is a life coaching service. I help people that are in the midst of being stuck, because sometimes people get stuck in life transitions, whether it's in their personal development, in their spirituality or career. People get stuck, and sometimes they just don't know how to navigate through those transitions. And that's where I come in as a life coach, to help them to develop and plan an action plan, put that action plan in place to help them to move forward, to reach their goals that they're trying to strive for. So that's what Together Striving for Hope is. And why do I do what I do is because I love to see people become the person that they always meant to be. I love to see people achieve their goals, and they achieve their goals and become, walk into their purpose. So when they had an opportunity to do this full time, I grasped hold of that opportunity, because it brings joy to me when I see other people moving forward in life, because it just does something to me. It brings joy to my eyes, and it's amazing. So what I do because this is what I'm called to do, and I love it. And I guess when you can love what you do, it's just amazing to me. So I love what I do. That's why I do what I do.
Excellent, excellent. So my question, the question that popped in my head as you were speaking there is, I'm wondering if this is something that is part of who you are for a long time, or is this like something that happened more recently as you started deciding to become a life coach, or does it seem like you've seen this pattern, like when you're the child or a teenager, where you was like, I want to help you do whatever it is. Is that true for you?
It started with me at a very young age. It's part of who I am. It's part of my DNA. Ever since, even when, I guess, it could probably started back way in elementary school, when new kids come to school or a new person come to class, I'm always the one that embraces the new kid, take the new kid, show the new kid around, become that, me and that new kid become best friends, and we start hanging out, they start telling me their problems, ever since I was little. So this is something I've been doing all of my life. I think as I got into college, more into going to college and finding what career that I wanted to choose, this was always the career choice. It was never, I wanted to work at IBM. I really did. I really wanted to work in corporate America in IBM. And I can remember freshman orientation when I went to college at Western Illinois University. And we were sitting there in freshman orientation, and they was telling me I had to do all this math. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want to do a whole lot of math. What college? I think I raised my hand and said, what college does not have, I have to do a lot of math? And they said, behavioral science, the human services, the social work. And I took it right. I was like, oh, that's me. So once I got in, I love what I do. I will never look back or change the direction that the path that I've chosen. I love what I do, and I'm glad that I made that choice. And I guess God knew IBM is not for you, because I'm not a cutthroat person. Um, that has to be, I'm more of an extrovert. I have to be social. I have to be able to get with the people, to understand with the people, to get down with the people, to kind of to relate to them. So he knew way before, even though I wanted to work at IBM. I did. That was my goal. I'm going to work for IBM one day. I'm going to work for IBM one day. And he was like, no, I have something better for you that is what you're meant to do. So when I got into the social services, I never looked back. I never changed.
See, and then it sounds like if I can try to stretch that or create a metaphor from that, it seems like you're continuing to show these new people, lead them and bring them into their new lives through this life coaching. You know, as you were introducing them to the school back then, the classroom, here's where the teacher sits, here's your desk, here's your bathroom, here's the water fountain over here. It shoots a little. So they need to stand back a little bit.
Right.
You're still helping people introduce them to their new living, the new way of life. So I see those still skills from the very beginning still continue to grow. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so as we start talking about your book, I know we talked a little bit about how your book is kind of an extension of your coaching. But so just talk to us about, when did you publish your book, and then why did you publish your book?
Well, I published my book back in February of 2016. That's the first version of the book. I published it in a way because I wanted people to really understand what their purpose was, because a lot of people kind of go through life and just say, well, you know, I have most parents put these expectations on kids. Well, you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, you know, or you're going to play sports. And sometimes that's not what they want to do. But they fall into those life of convenience to satisfy, you know, others around them, and they're never satisfied with themselves. So when I wrote Discovering Your 3 Ps, is how to unlock your purpose. What did God create you to do? You know, instead of having the expectations of what others wanted you to do. So when I wrote that, it just helped them to become who they to become who they really are, to really find their authentic selves. So the idea of that book is still like introducing them to that new life, and to introduce them like, you have a purpose. This is more to you than this what you think. You know, is you have way much more on the inside of you than you think. And that's what I was trying to bring out people to understand, that, to try to help them find that, to help them discover that. So once they find their purpose in life, and when you find your purpose in life, you know that it's not about you. When you start to really walk into your destiny, really walk into your purpose, it's more to that. It's something that's more greater. It's not about you. It's about those around you. It's about how to affect your community. And that's when Pinkadayious come about.
Here it is.
Pinkadayious, you know, and when that, you know, when people hear that word, like, what is pinkadayious? I never heard of that word, and you won't hear of that word, because pinkadayious is when you really start walking in and discovering who you truly are. You really start living for something that's greater than yourself. And when you discover your purpose and you walk in your pinkadayious, you really realize, like, I'm living for something greater than myself. And then your life does become phenomenal. You know, your life does become fun, because you start to get that joy. Like I said from the beginning, it's the joy when you see someone else, you know, accomplish. You're not jealous, you're not envious of that person, because you want to see them win. You know what I'm saying? Because you're winning and you want them to see them win. So when those three things are discovered in someone's life, oh man, it's amazing. It's really amazing that they're living out who they're evolving, becoming the person that they always meant to be. And that could be, like I said, if you are called to be a janitor, you know, be the best janitor that you can be. Be the best janitor. Be the best teacher. Be the best that you are meant to be. Be damn good at it, as I would say. Be the best, and always help someone else that's coming along the way, because you want them to see them win as well. So that's how discovering your three P's came out in the beginning. And like I said, I wrote it in 2016. I revised it this year in 2019 to more in depth, so people can have a reflection, because sometimes you have to reflect on the things that you are, when you're going through a transition or going through things, you have to put that down. You have to learn how to reflect and say, okay, I was here this time, but you know what, I'm different. I'm constantly involved, so you can see yourself constantly evolving. So the revised copy now is on Amazon and on Kindle, Discovery Repeat. So it's a birthing of, you know, the becoming the person that you're always meant to be. So that's why I wrote it, and that's why it's constantly evolving now. And right now is I'm writing a novel book, so it's going to take me a little bit longer, and it's called living a Pinkadayious life. How can I live a Pinkadayious life? So it's really the core to that book is really getting you to live your Pinkadayious life throughout, you know, throughout eternity, because you know you're living for something that's greater than yourself. So the novel is, you know, living a Pinkadayious life. So that's taking me longer to write, because like I said, I'm constantly evolving, but I know that book is going to be a New York Times bestseller in living that Pinkadayious life. So that's what it's all boiling up to, is the big novel.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. You know, and I heard my first bar up in there too, because she said from the beginning, she said, look, you are trying to live your life, and we need to talk to God and see how he wants to guide, where he's trying to take you to. What is that direction? And then you gave me examples of how it's happened in your life already, especially in the beginning story. You talked about being in school and saying like, you know what, this don't feel right to me. Math is cool, but math and I are not cool. Nothing over here. But you got into your path and you start getting guided towards your purpose in that process. So what came up to me is I want to know about that moment we start going into Pinkadayious, right? So when we get into the point where it's like, how do I know that I'm beginning to live in a Pinkadayious? If a man can live Pinkadayious life, I'm assuming I can. But how do I know? Like, is there a feeling? Is there a vibe? Is there something that I know that I'm starting to transition into Pinkadayious living?
When you can put your desires aside and help someone else, even though you might need help, when you really and truly lay down your needs and wants aside and don't even focus on that, and put all your focus on energy of really accomplishing and helping that person, that's when you know that you're living in your Pinkadayious. And like I said, the core to that is when you know for yourself, like, I'll give an example. I have a family that I have been working with. They're from Nigeria, and they are here, and they really struggling, you know, they really don't have direction. And they were really in the need of some things. And at the time, I was in a transition of needing something. And I put all of that aside to get them what they need, even though I need it. You know what I'm saying? I needed help. I didn't look at it because I say it's not about me. It's really about someone else. So when you really can put that aside and really put it aside and really give your all to someone else, that's when you're living in the Pinkadayious. And they couldn't believe what I have done for them. They was like, but you need this more than I do. And I was like, you need it more. You need it more. So that's when you know that you're living in your Pinkadayious and you don't even think about it. You know, you that the feeling that you had will be the warmth of in your heart. You know, like, dang, you know, that's what that joy is. You know what I'm saying? And when you see the joy in their eyes, you know that, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. I'm in my Pinkadayious. I'm in my Pinkadayious. And in the end, when they can, you know, you don't even look for praise or anything like that. I don't. When you don't even look to get a pat on the back or a compliment, it's just knowing that the joy of, you know, to see that joy in their eyes, that's all that matters. And that's when you know.
Excellent, excellent.
It's an undescribable feeling.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm getting is like you almost have to experience it yourself, and you'll know like I think I'm there. Like
Yeah.
this must be it.
You're gonna know that you're there. You're really gonna know that you're truly there, because you will see the fruits of your labor. You're really gonna know that you're there. And the more that you continue to, and I say, because when you're walking in Pinkadayious, you're not being selfish. When you really can just continue to live selflessly, that's when you know that you're walking in it. So it's a process. It's like when you're discovering your purpose, you're gonna look at it at first and you're gonna say, oh no, no, I don't think that's not the road I want to go. I want to stay in my comfort zone, in my safety box. I don't want to do that. Okay, God, you know, but I always say the plans of the plans that God has for you will always be the plan that prevail. But it's up to you to, you know, to accept the plan that He has for you. And some of us don't want to accept that. We'll live in a life of convenience. No, I'm staying right here, but you're miserable. It's okay, but I'm stick right here. But you're not happy, but I'm stick right here. But you're not living out your full potential. But I'm gonna stick right here though. But you got ulcers and you know your hair falling out. You're angry all the time because you're not. But you're gonna stay right there because why? Because it's comfortable. You know, it's comfortable for you. But God is telling me, but I have something better for you. No, I have a better relationship for you. No, I'm gonna stay right here and take the abuse. You know, I'm gonna stay right here. You know, do you mind if I share a little story with
Go
you?
ahead.
I remember I was helping this guy. His name is Mark. Mark was 35. Mark never only thing that Mark ever made in his life was $7.35 an hour, and he was 35. He was uneducated. Both of his parents were deceased. He was the only sibling. Mark felt like his life, he's 35. Now, at 35 as a man, you know, men mostly want to feel like they have some accomplishments. And Mark didn't never feel like he had accomplished anything because all he saw himself is, I'm uneducated, I'm a black male, and all I'm going to make for the rest of my life is $7.35. Mark saw himself as being average, or as he would say, he saw himself as being a bum. And he thought the only way that he can get out of his situation is probably getting hooked up with a female. You know, most men would say, well, I get hooked up with a female. But I say, Mark, they gonna walk all over you and not treat you right and misuse you. And he's like, well, I don't know what else to do. I don't have an education. I don't have anything. He didn't see his self-worth. So as I was coaching Mark and encouraging him, the Lord told me to tell him, go, I said, Mark, have you ever thought about taking the ASVAB test? And he was like, nah, go to the military? No. I said, well, go and, go take the test. So Mark went down. Remind you, he didn't have the education. So he didn't have a high school diploma or a GED. But he went to the ASVAB test. It's still free. You can go take it. So he went down to the Army recruiting office and he took the ASVAB test. And I asked him, I said, well, Mark, how did you do it? He's like, well, I don't know. Everybody was looking at me all strange and funny or no. I said, well, what did you get on the ASVAB test? Mark scored a 98.
Okay.
A 98 is almost a perfect score. That's very high ranks in the armed forces. They consider you scored 98, you are considered to be in the special unit. And Mark was like, huh? I said, I think all the armed forces tried to recruit him. The Navy, the Army, the Marines, the Air Force, everybody tried to get Mark. I remember, I said, Mark, you did amazing. You scored very high. And you have a lot of opportunities right now for the knock on your door. Remind you, Mark didn't see himself like that. But so Mark went to he worked at Walmart, and down in Maryland, the colonel called him personally and asked him to bring him to Maryland to basic training. To make a long story short, Mark lives in Okinawa, Japan, living out his military career. He's not even on the front line. He is in that special unit, like, how you have your Navy SEALs, that special unit. Mark is living out his best life. But before, Mark didn't ever see nothing. He saw himself as being 35 and a bum. But now he's living out his best life. So Mark never knew his full potential because he got stuck in life. He thought all he gonna be in life was a bum. He probably get hooked up with a girl and have some babies, and that's it. It makes $735, but he wasn't happy. Mark was not happy where he was. He just didn't have the person to come along and help him unlock who he truly was.
Mark! Oh, yes. I get so excited. Because I love that. That is a great story, and a testament to what you just did, to that final line you were saying there of having someone to come alongside you. I absolutely believe in mentors. I absolutely believe in coaches, or even a big brother or sister, somebody that's going to say, you are greater than where you are, but not just say it. We do need those seeds planted across the way, but when we get opportunity to be with someone that's going to help us along the way, do this, don't do that. What do you think about this? Expand your thinking, and provide that hope of what it is that is possible when you take that next step outside of what you know or what you believe to be true. And, from that story from Mark there, not having that someone to expand his mind and to believe in him like that, because, who was there to do that if there's no family? But now you come along, you step into his life, God places you into his life to give him an opportunity, and you stepped up and did what you were supposed to do, what you was called to do in that moment. So I appreciate you for doing that. And thank you for sharing that story on what it's like to be a life changer, to help someone start living a Pinkadayious life and start being phenomenal. That is awesome. There's some definitely message in there. Y'all might need to rewind that and hear what was said in that story, and how not only was Ms. Tamiko sharing with the gentleman, but she was also speaking life into him and helping him along in that path. And if that's something you're trying to do with your life coaching, you just heard another story, you may want to borrow that story on what it is like to truly be doing life coaching properly, and not just, hey, calling yourself a life coach.
Right. Right. Because, in this market, I think statistics say last year, 2018, this market made over $8 million in revenue for everybody that says they are a life coach or this coach or that coach or this coach. The difference between me and what sets me different from everyone else, that I'm there to see the life changes. It's not about to see the life changes, to really help people unlock and see who they truly are meant to be. And through the experience and the certification that I have obtained doing this, not only that I have the experience, but I'm well qualified, to do what I do. But I do it because I love it. And when you could do something that you love to do, when somebody must say, if you could do your job without making money right now, you love what you do. You know what I'm saying? You love what you do, and I do. I love what I do. I wouldn't change it I wouldn't try to find anything different in the world. And I say the books are a bonus. Those are bonus nuggets. Like I wrote another book called The Chronicle. And in the people that, for a while I was doing Lyft, or as they would say, Lyft, but I didn't want to use that because I don't want to get sued by Lyft. But being a Lyft driver, the people that got in my car, it was like the chronicles of a taxi cab driver. When they found out, oh, you a life coach? Oh, let me tell you, they were so comfortable, to express their problems and their situations and the people that God connected me with. It was so amazed. It was amazing. And that's why I say, if you can do this, if you know this is what you are called to do, and you can do it, be in it for 7 months, and still you doing your grind, and you putting the labor and the work in, and you're like, okay, still ain't nothing revenue or anything coming in, but you get up every morning and you still grind and you still do it, and you still happy about it. When you can wake up happy knowing that you're doing what you're called to do, and not looking at because most people that are entrepreneur after 3 months or 90 days, this ain't it. Let me change. You know what I'm saying? Let me find something different. This ain't working. You know what I'm saying? Let me try to I was like, no, but if you can wake up every morning with joy in your heart, doing what you got to do, you're on the right path. You're doing the right thing. And I always say God will provide, the provision will come if you stay faithful doing it. Because if this is what I am meant to do, God will provide. And I know this is what I'm meant to do, because the lives that I have encountered, that I have impacted and have changed, and it also helped me along the way to strengthen me, to keep me moving forward. I know I'm on the right track.
Excellent. Yeah, there's something to that idea, that belief that God's going to provide. God's going to give you that provision. He's going to give you that dream, that vision, that purpose, without giving you the skills or setting you up to develop those skills through being stretched, right? It's in there. He got to pull it out of you or let you see it. Like, I already taught you how to do it. You just got to go find it in yourself what I've already given to you, right?
Right.
It's wow. So I want to ask you this, because there is that idea again, the belief system there, but there's also, we talked a little bit about continue to grow and develop your business. But we also know that you have different aspects of what you're doing with your book. When you first started the book, and then you're like updating it now to you updated this year for the reflections. Now you're trying to evolve it again and give a new perspective, a new way of looking at what it is to go through these 3 Ps by writing the fiction book. The question here is, what else did you what did you learn from the writing process? Like, some of it is like Could be productivity, it could be personal development, more spirituality. What is it from writing the book and continue to write these books what are you learning?
What I'm learning is, because I am terrified of writing. First of all, writing was, writing was not my strongest point. You have weak points, but I was good at what I did, but it wasn't my strongest area. It's made me become more creative. It's giving me more creativity.
Mm.
Is opening that creativity apart about me that I never knew that was there. It's really open up the creative part of being a writer, coming up with the story. Like I said, when I did, when I first wrote it, I was terrified. I was really scared. Lord, what if what if I got a prepositional phrase or a run-on sentence? Because you really are scared, and because other people see your words. But as God gives me the book ideas to help people, I have come up with sayings. People are like, you need to write that down. I'm talking about encouraging words, sayings that can be on posters due to what I say. And it's all about, that's what I'm learning coming out of this writing. And because I have a saying and I'm going to market it. I'm going to brand it. I say, hurt people, but a healed person leads a hurting person into their hold on, let me get it right. Hurt people, but a healed person leads a hurt person into their healing process. And it's very resonating. And I'm gonna market that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to put that up because I was at a church, and when I said it, it was really profound. And they were like, where did you get that from? I was like, this came to my head. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, I don't know. It just kind of got downloaded to me.
So this lady, she does posters, and she said, well, can I put it on a poster? Can I, put it on a poster? Can I use it in a meme? Can I, these sayings and these words of encouragement that you are using or saying, I never heard nothing like that. They're resonating, they're deep. And it's all because God is bringing out that creativity in the writings. If you read the beginning of the book, I have a little poem in there. It says, roses are pink. Your life is never meant to be blue. You have purpose. So let me help you. And they were like, where did you get that from? Where are these sayings coming from? Where are you getting these? And I say it's the creativity that God is really giving to me through the writings. So what I've learned is I didn't know I could be that creative. But I didn't know I could be creative. I didn't know that my words can have an impact on someone's life. So that's what is teaching me, that words are powerful, whether they're spoken or written words. And so that's
I might need to send you some math problems and see if you might have missed out there too. You might be supposed to be building the next rocket ship or something with your math.
I don't know about that. I don't know, but don't send me no that I think when I was in high school I had to do algebra 1, algebra 2. I was like, I don't know what the X mean, the X, Y, you always gotta find the Y. I don't know. No, and math did its course, and I thank God that I know the basics.
That's all right. That's all right. But I love that. That's the first time I've had that answer about expanding your own creativity. Tapping into other parts of yourself that you didn't know were there, or were kind of like dormant. Kind of was there in the periphery. Now it's exploring it more. And that's one thing that I continue. Why I ask that question is because there's parts of you that continue to come out. And you have to grow in some way if you truly are trying to write something good. Now, if you just throwing some stuff together because people said you need to write a book and you just threw some stuff together, you're not learning anything. But if you're truly trying to write something that's transformative and not just informative, you're trying to write something that's going to change a life as opposed to, just change some ideas. Yeah, I want you to really get in there like, I'm going to change more than your day for the next hour if you're reading this book. I'm going to change the next day, the next year, the next decade, the rest of your life from this next hour. People are pouring into that. And because you're doing that, you have to tap into another part of who you are in order to do that effectively, right? So I appreciate that. I appreciate the story. I love the creativity there that had to come out of you for that. And of course, it's continuing to develop for the next book there. So here's the next question for you. As far as the books, been on it since 2016, what would be your best book promotion tip? What have you been using as one of your promotions for your books? So that's speaking, what is that? What is that?
Well, one of the best promotion tips that I got, well, on Amazon, I know by being on Amazon, they give you promotional tips. For right now, it's been word of mouth, because people, when I put it out there, I really didn't know how I was going to do, because like I said, I was kind of nervous in 2016, but I had got great book sales by this word of mouth. Like, hey, you wrote a book. What's the name of your book? And I will tell people, they're like, oh, let me find it. Let me see it. Oh, I bought your book. It's really great. It's really good. You have another one coming out. So it was word of mouth. And I'm going to start now, and with part of my life coaching, we have group support that I'm just going to incorporate it more into the group. So that will be the workbook that the clients will be using as we go through the coaching process. That will become the workbook that they will be using to help them to stay accountable, to help them to reflect, to help them write the goals down. So that's why I kind of looked at it at first, like if I put like a workbook, how can I incorporate it? And it was like, we're going to incorporate this into your group sessions, So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to use that as a guide for the group session, as a teaching method for them as I help them discover their 3 Ps. So it will be a group. And when I do group, that will be the material that we will focus on.
Excellent. See, and I know TFP family, you've heard me say it, and you're probably going to hear it every episode. So just get used to hearing it until you start implementing it. Listen again to how many different ways Tamiko is using this one outline, and she's creating multiple streams of income from the same outline. Now she went from the book, and she revised the book to be turned into reflections. Then she's taking that book and making it part of her course. So it's a whole nother asset to her course, and also to her, to our clients. But then, of course, we keep coming back to, we have the fiction book coming up too. So we're still seeing the same outline, multiple ways of using that same outline to create multiple streams of income. And I know my camera keeps going silly, going in and out, fading in and out, but it's all right. I'm still here. Peekaboo. But I love that. So, okay, now I want to touch on something, okay? I want to touch on something as far as the last two questions, okay? You spoke about word of mouth as your one of the best promo tips, okay? Telling people what it is, tell them how to go get it, right? But the question before that, you mentioned how you're worried about some of the prepositions and things of that nature, punctuation, things of that in there, and how that would look, and if you're doing them right or whatnot. And you were worried about going and telling people to buy the book. So what was that transition? What was that like? What did you do to say, all right, it's good enough? Because there's people who are going to hear this and be like, I don't know if I can release it because I don't know if people are gonna make fun of the writing or if they're gonna like. What was that like? What did you do and how did you know it's like, all right, I gotta hit submit. Just kind of let it go.
Well, after, I had to think about what my English teacher told me. My English teacher told me in college, she said, you are a very good writer.
Mm-hmm.
She said, never release stuff when it's hot. Let it get cold first. And what I mean by let it get cold, if you wrote a book that got 100 pages, don't just hit submit. Let it get cold for like a couple of days, like 3 or 4 days. Then go back, read, make sure you don't have the grammar errors or the run-on sentence. I had a lot of people proofread it. I had a lot of people, but the day I knew to push that submit button was because I was like, oh, submit, no, take it back. You know how you just like, the Lord's like, let it get cold first. And when I did that, first I had to let it wrap around my head. It said, you didn't wrote a book, because it's like, oh, it's hot off the presses. I want to put, you just wrote a book. Let that marinate. I'll say, not procrastinate. It's a difference between marinating and procrastinating. Marinating means 1 or 2 days. Let it get cold, go back, look at it, read through it. And it's like, you know what, it's good. Hit the submit. Don't like I said, marinate and procrastinate is 2 different things. Marinate, let it marinate for 2 days. That means you don't have somebody proof it, reread it, because I have on my computer, it tells you the grammar errors and all that stuff. Then I tell you one thing, Grammarly.com is your friend. Grammarly.com is your friend. It's your friend, because being a social worker, I was used to writing in certain styles. MLA, and when I went to grad school, it was APA.
Yep.
So MLA is different. You writing in, second, the second voice, like, oh, I got to write this in second voice and da-da-da-da. And so I was used to that. But when I started having to writing that and coming from my perspective, using a lot of I's, coming from me, it's a total different writing style. And, being in grad school, you writing APA, so you writing past tense of what this person said, what this person said, you're using a lot of references, and you kind of like paraphrasing, in third person, you writing like, Lord, I'm writing in third person, I'm like, gotta know. But Grammarly.com is your friend now. Remember that. And I just went back to, I kept that writing style book I got in college, the different types of writing, creative writing and all that stuff. I grabbed hold of that book and I just, wrote from my perspective. So I was giving the discover your 3 pieces from my perspective, So when you write kind of like that, the flow, it tends to flow. So I had to get out because I was used to writing APA so much. I was like, okay, I need to reference something. I need to put a reference right. I need to put a citation and things like that. To me, you're not writing a report, So you're writing it out from your creativity. So, I will tell anybody that it's kind of Grammarly.com is your friend. Get you a writing style book on especially creativity. This have references, because if you haven't written from the creative style writing for a long time, you're gonna forget. Because how I wrote the book for the first time and I knew I couldn't publish it, it was an MLA. It was coming from like I'm writing a social work paper, what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute, I need no, to me, you writing wrong. And then, it clicked, okay, maybe I need to write it in APA. I have to do that at work too. I have to remember at work, I'm not writing an APA style paper. I'm not writing an APA, when I do my case notes, I have to write from that perspective, from what the client has said, in their words. And I'm like, so you know, I would tell you, let it marinate for like 1 or 2 days because you just wrote it. Grammarly.com, you know, then release it. Don't be afraid to release it. Because I wanted to take it off Amazon, and the Lord said, do a farmer, you know, when a farmer goes out and plants his seed in the field, do he tell you where he's going to plant the seed? He just release it, right? He just released the seed. And then he's like, well, man, I should have put the corn over there on the left side. Let me go dig up all the corn seeds. Did he go back and dig up his corn seeds? No, he doesn't. So I had to trust myself. When I released it, I trust myself, and I did it. And in 2016, it sold itself. You know, people was buying the book. People was reading the book, you know. They was like, this is good, you know. And I was like, okay. So when I revised it, you know, I was so happy. I think it was 2 days after I revised it to 2019, somebody bought it.
Okay.
Somebody went out and bought it. I'm like, it only been out for a week. And somebody went back and bought it. So I guess they were like, I like the first copy. Let me see what the second copy was going to be about. So you just got to trust the process. And
there it is.
Trust process.
There it is, trust process. But no, I gotta give you credit on some of the things. Well, you know, the first one was from the teacher there, of course. Well, like let it get cold first. Don't release when it's hot. But I like the way you said it. Like better when you said let it marinate. Now, there's a difference between procrastinating and marinating, and I like that marinating because over the weekend, I have an author whose book is about to come out here very shortly, and we were at a point where it's like I'm looking over the book, I'm reading the book, and I'm like, you gotta rub the eyes, and then like, all right, I can't keep looking at this because at a certain point your eyes start getting tired and your brain starts adding words that are not on the page or on the screen. So, but you think they're there, but they're not really there, or comments that you just overlook because you're tired, your brain's got stress. So I definitely get that. But then you also came back and said Grammarly is your friend. Absolutely. I've been using Grammarly for a while. I definitely recommend for my authors, if you're not gonna go I like Pro Writing Aid and I have Grammarly because I'm in my graduate program now. I'm getting my doctorate. And I know the pain of trying to go back and forth in the day because I'm writing for my assignments and so forth almost every day, like 5 days a week I'm writing there. But during the day, I'm doing social media posts, I'm doing blog posts, all this other stuff that I'm doing here. And I have to remind myself, for me, it's the opposite. I have to remind myself when I do my APA papers, I can't write I.
Right.
This is nice, but I need you to cite something.
Right. Right.
The story is great. It's emotional. I get it. But where's the sources?
Right.
Yeah.
Where your sources at? Where you get that information from?
Yeah, I'm like, it's me. Like, I got to keep putting quote myself in parentheses, personal quote.
Right.
That's not, that doesn't work, does it? It doesn't work.
No. Who did you get it from? Tamiko S. Hobbs. That's me. I'm quoting myself.
You know what I'm saying? It says yesterday, comma, Dwight A. Fortune.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know, that's APA citation in text.
Right.
Man. Okay. All right, get back together. Okay. So no, that's awesome. I love that because there's definitely get to a point where I did it for my author myself. I was like, we were on her KDP account and we went through it. We've gone through and I showed her everything was going on there. Said, all right, I'm hitting submit. I hit submit. It's so much easier because I'm doing it for her. There's nothing she could do at this point. She said to take it.
That's right. She got to take it.
Then she was like, I can just hear her over the phone going, like this deep sigh just came out like, it's over. Like it's done. Like it's going to be published at this point. So I definitely get that. And that might be, there's another thing for you. If you can't push submit yourself, have your bestie do it. Have her come over and click submit for you. It's done because they believe in you and they're gonna love you for it. All right, so before we get into the last round of questions here, it is getting more personal, just asking little fun questions. I want to ask you about how you talked a little bit about it. I guess we talked a little bit about it as far as how you're starting to use your book in your coaching. Now, before you started leveraging it the way it is now for reflections and then adding it to your coaching, how were you using it? How were you using your book to get some back-end sales? Like, were you following up with people from reading the book when you were giving out? How were you using it for your back-end sales, like leading into your coaching or things of that nature?
Well, and to be honest, in 2016 when I first wrote it, I just let it I let it do for itself. You know, I didn't really promote it. Like I said, I told people about it. I talked about it, but it sold itself. You know, people was going on there buying it itself. You know. Because I try to do an audio book on it too. And I was going to hire a person to do audio. You know, he read over it and he was like, "Oh, this is good. You know, let's do it." And I was like, "Nah," I was like, "Oh, I didn't want to know if I wanted I didn't know if I wanted his voice to be the one that he was good as a voice over for the book." And I was like, well, I think if I would do audio, I probably would do my voice, because it'd be better for me to express what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So in 2016, it sold itself. I'm gonna be honest. It sold itself on Amazon. I just had to trust and believe. I said, you know what, God, you told me to cast it out there, and I did. And I wasn't really into it, how they say, I bought 5 copies and gave it out. I kept a copy for myself, and as my first book, I kept it. I autographed it for myself, and I kept it for myself. But I gave out 5 copies, and it just did what it did. So that's where it is. But like I said, but now it's telling me, revise it, use it in your group session.
So what was that thought process? What came to you and says, all right, this is done well, it's helped change lives, I've got some great reviews from it. Now it's time to transition or to do the next step or next phase of this book. What was that idea? What came about there?
Because part of what I do is like teaching. When you are coaching someone, you gotta give them visual. You gotta teach them, because some people learn. It's not just talking to them, it's really teach them, give them the skills one-on-one. So the workbook, the reflection book, or now it could be the workbook, it will give them, they can see it, it'd be like I'm teaching them. Because that's one of those gifts. I'm a good teacher. I could take the material and simplify it so it's easy for them to grasp and digest. For them, like, oh, okay, I got it. So it's something that was just telling me, when you do group, what do you want your group to reflect? I had to think about, how do I want to lead my my group sessions? How do I want people, because in this group, we're all going to be accountability partners, but how can I lead them to, when we're not in group, as if they going through something, what can they have as a tool that they can reference back to? And that's when it came to me, your book. Use your book. As I can break it. One thing about those 3 P's, I can break it down into worksheets, as a workbook material. And I was like, yeah, I can use this, because this will help them be more accountable, so they can see, their purpose. They write it down, they can see, they could come back and say, hey, I accomplished this. When I put down and say I want to accomplish something in 30 days, look, I did it, you know what I'm saying? And what helped you? Help as you gave me this material that I can reflect that I did it. Or when they feel like stuck, they can go back to the as a reference and say, hey, I remember when she on this day she told us about this P and how this P can work in this situation. You know what I'm saying? And they can use it. So that's when that epiphany said, the Lord, like, you can use it in your group session as your material guide, as a material. You can break all those 3 P's out into work, to worksheets, whatever, whatever. As a teacher, that other thing that's in me, that teacher came out and said, oh, I can make lessons out of this. You know what I'm saying? Like little lessons. So to help them have, they can always reflect. So that's part of giving them the tool. So they're like, oh man, I got the tool. And they can see it.
I love that. That's definitely another key point from there that you're expressing there. Just to from my perspective, as I'm hearing you correctly, is that for those who are here, who are listening to this, for TFP family that have published a book recently, maybe did okay, maybe did well, maybe didn't do so well, but it's a good book. The content is good. This is definitely one way of repurposing that content and making it better. I mean, some people would think, I've heard them like, well, I don't want to give all my secrets and stuff away in the book and tell them everything. Is like, then don't. But that's not kind of the purpose of what you're trying to do, is to help people. So give whatever it is you're going to give. Most people aren't going to do all the work themselves anyway. But when you're giving them that processes, now you can turn around just like they do in classrooms. I mean, I know plenty of professors, several professors who have written books and then use their own books as part of the course material. This is what we're going through. And on page 81, I wrote,
exactly, because that's the goal, to use your own materials in your business. And that's what instead of borrowing everybody else's ideas, God gave you idea. He said, use your book as a material, and you can break it down. And like you said, like you said, they can always go back and reference. They were like, oh, I remember, because I had a professor in my coaching, when I was going to Liberty in one of my coaching classes, the book that we used was the book that he wrote about coaching, about group dynamics. It was his book. And I'm like, okay. He was like, on this page right here, you see, and it was his book. And we learned from what he said, from his perspective. And it was a good material. He broke it down. It was a good coaching, it's a good coaching book, because you ain't gonna be able to find. He said, well, I'm using this. The book that we're gonna use for this semester is the book I wrote. Like, not only did you make revenue off the book, because we had to buy the book, you know what I'm saying? We had to buy the book, so he made money off that, and we used what he said. And it was good because it helps give you more insight from when your students are reading your material.
Nice bars.
You get a better understand. You can explain it better than using somebody else's book. When you use your own material, you can express it better. And when we start asking questions and things like that, and the insight we got more deeper information than I would say we got from any other textbook. But so it's a good thing when you use your own writing material, your own book as the tool in your learning process is a phenomenal.
Excellent.
Remember, they got to buy the book. We had and he didn't make his book cheap, and that book wasn't cheap either. He made it because we had
mandatory reading. Why would I make it cheap?
Right, it was mandatory. So you in grad school, them books ain't cheap. So just imagine how much the book costs. That book, if you're in grad school, I ain't never bought a book that was under $100.
Oh yeah, that's a nice little hustle.
Hey, it's a good hustle. He made money off the book, and it wasn't cheap. And I was like, and you couldn't, and make it so bad you couldn't buy. You know how you have a book back, buy a book back sale.
Buy it back, yeah, sell it back, yeah.
It was not buy back.
That's yours. No money back. You go ahead and keep that one.
Yeah, you kept it.
All right, so let's transition into these some of our more personal and fun questions here as we're winding down today's episode. I want to first ask you, what is your favorite book? Of course, like maybe number 2, since you already have your number 1 by default. But your favorite book or books, if you cannot choose.
My favorite. You got like my favorite book to read, or
favorite book. However you want to qualify.
Well, the favorite thing that I like to read is poetry. That's my favorite book. I have the poems by Langston Hughes. I love poetry, so because it's helped brings out the creativity in me. So my favorite books are poets, self-poets, especially self-authors, people that right now I have a friend that she writes poetry. I got one of her poems. I had to buy her poem actually to put in another book. It's more personal, and it's called Reflections. And so I like when young authors, especially young authors, come up, I like to support them. And so my favorite books that I like to read are self-published books, especially poems. So.
Excellent. Love it. Excellent. So now, what is your favorite quote or quotes? Some things that you maybe living by or just you love repeating?
Roses are not red, they are pink. Your life is never meant to be blue. You have purpose, so let me help you. So that's my
message. You heard it. Definitely have that in the show notes. Definitely have that one in the show notes. All right, so before we get into the final question here, just want to, which is, about what's coming up next for you. I know you have an offer there for some of our listeners, the TFP family, on connecting with you and to learn more about what it is you have to offer there. And definitely want to find out your social media or where to find you on the internets. But before we get there, I want to give this opportunity. I love giving this opportunity to just hear your message. What is the message? Oh, I almost forgot one of my favorite questions. What do you do on your day off that most people don't know about?
What do I do on my day off when most people don't know about? Sleep. I've learned to sleep and take time to do self-care. That's why I don't work on Fridays, I don't work on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Okay.
Those are my days off. I tend to make sure that I make time for myself and family that people don't know about. So okay. That's what I do.
Excellent. All right, back to the question. This is your moment. This is your opportunity to speak to the TFP family and tell them what your message is. What is the message you must share with the world? Take the next 60 seconds, 3 minutes, whatever it takes that you need, whatever you to get it out. It's on you.
The message that I have to share with the world is you are too legit to quit. on life. And I know that life can be hard and transitions can be challenging. So that's why Together Striving for Hope is here to help you to become the person that you were always meant to be. And if you would like to find where Together Striving for Hope is, you can search for me on www.together-striving for is together-hope.com. That is our website that you can connect with us right there. You can get a free 30-minute consultation for free. You have to give us a phone call to set the appointment. The number is 404-946-3281. You can like our social media page, which is Together Striving for Hope on Facebook. And if you want to find us on Facebook, is the @ at capital T, capital S, capital HO. You can find us. That's our hashtag on Facebook. You can find us also on Pinterest, Together Striving for Hope. You can find a lot of uplifting quotes on Pinterest. And you can also find me on Instagram at Tamiko 5555441. That's my Instagram hashtag. You can find me there. You can find what I do there. You find videos there too as well. So you can find us also on our YouTube channel is Tamiko S Hobbs, and you will find a lot of videos from Together Striving for Hope. And that's it. That's all that I have to share. That's my message, Mr. Fortune. And I appreciate it too. I really thank you for letting me talk to your audience, and I hope that I inspired them or gave them some words of encouragement to let them know that you have purpose, to keep on moving forward, no matter what it looks like. You do matter. No matter what it looks like, you matter. Your message matters because you have something that I need, just like I have something that you need. So I need you to bring it out into the earth, whether it's a book, whether it's a business, whatever it is that you have on the inside of you. I need that because we all need each other. We all have something to give to someone. So I thank you for allowing me. I told you I was nervous before.
No, you did great. You did fine.
I didn't say ums and ands and ahs.
Yes. I appreciate it.
I'm ready. Look, Lord, I love it. I'm ready. As Tiffany had to say, she ready. I'm ready.
Well, I appreciate you being on here. I thank you for sharing your message and your experiences with us, telling some of your story and some of those with your clients, some successes they had. It's been phenomenal having you on here as we went through the idea of the 3 Ps going from purpose to Pinkadayious, going into being phenomenal, and what that all looks like, and how to take your book, not only transition it and update the book, but then take the update in the book to move it into your business, and using that book as a focal point and a reference point for your clients, and then now looking and moving into doing some more fiction stories around it. Great examples of going there. You had to love it. I love it what you're doing there, and I wish you all the best as you continue to work with clients and help you to make them phenomenal and live more pinkadayious lives. And my camera just went dark again. I'm back. Peekaboo. And y'all, I appreciate y'all for being here, man. That's a wrap for another episode. You know how it is. You can be, you can do, you can have anything you want in this world. You just got to believe. You can't live a life of no doubts, just blessings. And I will show you how. For all No Doubt Nation out there, MITFP family, you know how we do it. Our mantra is, I want you to say it loudly and do it proudly and make life happen every day. God bless. I'll talk to y'all next time.
You've just listened to episode number 17 of the Thought Fortunes podcast with your host, D. Orlando Fortune. Yo, that's me. And I want to give thanks to our sound and audio guy, Kyle Binge, and of course, to our creator. Now, do you have any questions or comments from today's show? They want to email them to fortune@thoughtfortunepress.com. And if you want to turn your ideas into a branded book that books more speaking engagements and generates more leads and have a signature suite of products that generate more streams of income for you, go to thoughtfortunepress.com and click on the Start Here button. That's at thoughtfortunepress.com. And if you like this show, do us a favor. Share, like, and join. Take a screenshot and share the episode with the hashtag ThoughtFortunesPodcast. And then show us how much you like us by giving us 5 stars and a review on iTunes. And get into the conversation in the Facebook group. Write your first book. Until next time, God bless. And remember, you're only one book away. Talk to you next time.